It's been a little more difficult for me to get these done lately. I caught COVID and was away. COVID again. But I realized it was because I feel pretty good about what I've done. There's 135 other radio counselings out there right now. Some of them are better, some are worse. Definitely don't recommend the first 4 or 5. So I guess maybe there's only 130. The thing with endings is that they are hard. We develop feelings because of connections that we have to just about anything. And these connections are reflective of our lives. Saying goodbye to a beloved teddy bear or a favorite show isn't the same thing, though, as undergoing a divorce or letting a family member let go of life support. But like so many things, it's what those have in common that actually makes them poignant. A quick bit of science. We develop neurological connections in context with items, actions, and people. The things we experience more intensely or more often are going to increase the number of connections we develop. For example, right now, even as you watch me doing this, you are developing increased number of connections in the neurons of your brain. Now, the connective network that is our brains, they are designed to hang onto and find those connections. That's what lets us remember things and feel things. And importantly, also to find patterns. Side note, there's some really interesting information out in the world on superstitions. I especially like the research that was done with pigeons. But the point is, when we get those patterns disrupted, we are thrown because our brains have a kind of an expectation. This is where those networks were flowing to. Basically, reality is subverting our expectations, and it's not hard to see how that might affect us. For example, at a really obvious level, you could take a toddler into a candy store, just have them walk through the aisles and then back out again without purchasing anything. You see what I mean. But in the case of loss, those patterns are the expectations that we have for a person to be there. So we keep looking around for people who are gone. Our brains spend a lot of time and effort programming the expectation that we would be engaging with that person. So we think about what they might like or what they would have found interesting. And their absence hurts. The neurons clanging away. Personally, it's my theory that it's painful because the neurological connections are zapping into empty brain space. I have absolutely no data to back that conclusion up. The point is, we're suffering a dissonance. We have the expectation of a thing, but its availability is not there. However, depending on your relationship, grief with somebody you lost that you'd only known a little while, that can also be overwhelming. Think back on friends you made as a child and then lost. Just the fact you still remember them can tell you something. So how do we deal with endings?
Yeah, well, that depends on how you look at things.
I'll start with this in the context of the loss of a relationship, and then we'll touch on a couple of others. 1. Is this relationship one where it actually is where you think it is? For example, in breaking up, it's very rare that both people are actually ready for that change. One person has generally gone through the grief of loss and contemplation, is already looking at moving on, where the other wasn't prepared. Are you hurting because you've already accepted a loss and are trying to figure out how to move forward? Or because you are sideswiped by it and are still confused? 2, what is the reality of your situation? Are you a person who is more confident in themselves? Or are you kind of needy, looking to others to help keep you stable? I assure you, one of those is more likely than the other to successfully navigate grief. Developing self-esteem in the midst of a traumatic loss may sound odd, but maybe that's what's called for here. The understanding and the readiness that you are a strong person and can handle yourself in the absence of somebody else. 3. Accepting loss and that it's painful will allow it to pass more effectively, allowing you to reset your life to an absence. Now, while those flailing neurons may still hurt periodically, and I would never advocate dwelling in your misery, it is okay to allow yourself time to feel sad. That time will reduce. And eventually, while something may still hurt, it won't hurt with the same degree of intensity. And you will recover. I mean, as a side note, nobody expects you to recover from a broken leg in a week. Yet if you shear apart your neurons due to a catastrophic loss, somehow you're expected to be up and fine again in no time flat. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. But because our brain is a complicated place, and occasionally those neurons will simply refire randomly, you may find yourself hit with memories or thoughts of a person that was important to you, which is great. You should enjoy those memories. Unless they were traumatic, in which case, maybe therapy. Either way, remember this: you are a conduit. The memory isn't you, even if it feels overwhelming. Don't hang on, but don't ignore. Think of it as water running through your hands. It will go and be done, but don't try to grip it. After the intensity subsides, deep breaths, refocus on the now, and move forward with your day. So that was relationships. They can end in divorce, death, separation, or even slowly drift apart over time. What about other things?
Okay, now I'm ready.
Endings give meaning. How a book pays out is why you read it. Stories are supposed to have endings. Otherwise, it's just fake life. It's those endings that make the journey actually meaningful. This is why it's best to never hang on. You move throughout your world and enjoy your own life and how you can affect others. Those effects are what make your journey meaningful. As they said in the great Mortal Kombat, it's not about death, but life. I've put together these radio counselings because I wanted to put some messages out there, to have a library of reference materials available for my clients, and because sometimes it just is good to talk about what's important to all of us. I've really enjoyed doing them. But now it's time for me to stop. I'll probably sometimes post up on another subject or issue that I feel strongly about, or something that I thought would be fun key point to illustrate. And while I've never said the words like and subscribe, I appreciate every one of you that has taken the time to point somebody else at one of my videos and said, this might be good for you. Jason, I'm looking squarely at you here, man. Thank you. I hope that they've been as interesting to watch as they were for me to create. And of course, if you have any questions at all, you can reach me through the comment section below, through, my usual plug here. But for now, I'm tapping out. 2 years and 136 videos. That's not bad. And I'm proud of the work that I did here, just as I'm proud of every one of my clients who's working hard to improve their lives. Take care of yourselves. Is this relationship one when